Hello, bruvs. We're back with new book Arrivals number 306, which is the second installment of my library book sale $5 bag day. And let's start with Daphne du Maurier, Rebecca. And this, I believe, is an adaptation for children, which, just retold by Margaret Turner. Heinemann guided readers upper level. So I'm not sure. I'm assuming this is abridged since it's a retelling. What a weird glossary note. Yeah, obviously it's a retelling, so the glossary, blah, 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 blah. Let's see what the name is. Don't know. Maxim de Winter never talked about Rebecca, but others talked. Rebecca's death had been in all the newspapers. Everyone thought that she had drowned in the sea near Manderley. Weird. Obviously, it's an abridged version. At least I think it is. The Face of the Ancient Orient, a panorama of Near Eastern civilization in pre-classical times. Sabatino Mascati. By a widely accepted scholarly convention, the Ancient Orient has come to mean the ancient Near East. Archaeological discoveries there in recent years have taken up a significance that goes beyond the circles of specialists and enters the domain of historians. Oh, it's nice and marked up, but I only paid 17 cents for it, so it's worth it. Here is this book. 62. What's all this, bruv? Damn. Rather marked up. But that's that. The Turn of the Screw and Other Short Novels by Henry James. I only got this one because not only was it 17.5 cents, but it's got a cool little mass market cover. There's some tissue paper. Son of the religious philosopher Henry James Sr. and brother of the psychologist and philosopher William Henry James was born in New York City, April 15th, 1843. Not even sure what the turn of the screw is. The Turn of the Screw, Daisy Miller, an international episode, The Aspirin Papers. Henry James considered the beautiful and blessed nouvelle to be the ideal form for fiction, and to this genre he brought the full perfection of his imaginative artistry. The themes he chose and the values he set forth in the 6 novels that comprise this signet classic typify the depth and power of his craftsmanship. What year did I say this was? 1962 again. New American. Babbitt. Again, I like these mass market paperback, especially the vintage covers. And when you're getting books for 17.5 cents, you can't really. Oh, his real name was Harry? The son of a country doctor, was born in Sauk Center, Minnesota in 1885. With his portrait of George F. Babbitt, the conniving, prosperous real estate man from Zenith, Sinclair Lewis created one of the ugliest but most convincing figures in American fiction, the total conformist. Babbitt's demons are power in his community and the self-esteem he can only receive from others. Sounds like, what's his name? Peter Keating. The Milagro Beanfield War by John Nichols. Never heard of this book or the author. Author of the New Mexico trilogy, which includes The Magic Journey and the Nirvana Blues. Yeah, I've never heard of this guy, so I just like the cover. Cover was cool, bruv. Joe Mondragon, 36, with not much to show for it, a feisty hustler with a talent for trouble, slammed his battered pickup to a stop, tugged on his gumboots, and marched into the arid patch of ground. Carefully, if impulsively, and also illegally, he tapped into the main irrigation channel, and so began the Milagro Beanfield War. Beanfield War. Here is this. Apparently there was a drought, so that's why he did it. Obviously, 74. I said I've never heard of this book. And I've never heard of this one either. The Year of the French by Thomas Flanagan. The year's most glorious bestseller. Best novel of the year. National Book Critics Circle Award. The Year of the French was 1798, when 3 tall ships full of French troops sailed into a tiny county Mayo harbor to help a band of desperate romantic Irish men and women rise up against their English oppressors. Now, for every man and woman moved by passion and thrilled by valor, there is a great novel of that grand, sad time. The Year of the French. 1979. Hoping to find $1,000 bill in there. That'd be great. The hell is this? Them by Joyce Carol Oates. And since I bought, I think, 2 or 3 different books by Joyce Carol Oates, I picked this one up. The Assassins, author of The Assassins. If you read only one novel this season, it should be this one. I usually don't pick up Joyce Carol Oates because her books aren't worth much, but since it was a bag sale and I could fit as much as I could for $5 into a large paper bag, I grabbed it. So now I have a small collection going there. I've seen this book like 3 times in the last month, so, and I passed on it the first 2 or 3 times. And this time, since it is, as I said, a bag sale, I grabbed it. And Bryson seems to just publish anything he can think of. I don't know if he needs the money or if he's just trying to make a large oeuvre, but I mean, this seems just like exactly what it is, his diary from Africa, which is probably not very exciting, but who knows, maybe it is. I started grabbing these books just because there's several, and then I just stopped after a while because I do have probably 5 to 10 of these, and there's Time Inc. The Time Inc. books, obviously, there's some kind of book club thing, but these covers are literally like the hardest cardboard you've ever seen, and if you open them far enough, they usually just snap at the spine. But nonetheless, I like them. They tend to have good covers. I actually have a cover of this one, or actually have a copy of this one, but this one might be in better shape. These things are just like rocks. Listen to this. So, literally like a frickin' rock. Look at this, how taut it is. The Crime of Galileo by Giorgio de Santillano. Here's this, 1970s. 1962. I'm going to guess it's from the 70s, though. Just gives this 1970s feel. Man, this cover, if you could feel this cover, it's literally almost like a thin plywood. 60s. Shakespeare. Obviously, these are... Maybe they sold these in some kind of a set. Obviously, a classic of some sort. I don't know if it's biography or what. Assuming it's a biography. Look at this. It's literally like damn Luan. But now I have about 10 of those. The Brimming Cup by Dorothy Canfield. And I'll generally buy any old book like this, even if it's worth nothing, but when I can get it for 17.5 cents, I'll always buy it. Don't care if it's good or not. What year is this? 20s? 1921, 9th printing, so it could be late 20s. Obviously, Grosset and Dunlap were the bargain bin hardcovers. Kind of like a Barnes and Noble hardcovers. You know how they have those $5, $10 ones. These had jackets and etc. It's actually in pretty decent shape. The Selected Essays of Gore Vidal. I have a small collection of Gore Vidal books. Obviously, if you've ever seen the William F. Buckley and Gore Vidal debates, they're pretty interesting. Second of the three Joyce. Oh, there's the other one of those. Damn it, don't fall, buddy. Get over to the side. Naked to Mine Enemies 2. I didn't realize that until I already purchased it. I think that's the second volume. But again, this impossible front cover, which is just, it is volume 2. Whatever. The Life of Cardinal who? Wolsey? Never heard of him. But they always have interesting covers, these Time Inc. I need to look these up in the newspaper and see what the hell they're about. They always have interesting covers. My God, this book. Time Life books. 1958. I still say they're from the 60s or 70s. Did say 65 later in there. All right. The Museum of Dr. Moses, Tales of Mystery and Suspense by Joyce Carol Oates. I also have a book, 2 copies of one of her books. Something about the macabre, or grotesque and the macabre. She kind of has that, what's her name? It's that actress that was in The Shining. She kind of looks like her. 10 suspenseful stories explore with chilling accuracy the ways in which evil enters our lives. In Hi, How You Doin', an intrusive jogger meets with an abrupt fate. In The Man Who Fought Roland Lestarza, a young woman's romantic view of her girlhood is devastated by her father's confession. What year was this? It's probably a reprint. I wonder if she's ever had a big bestseller. She seems to be one of those authors on the margins who never really sold anything, but is still around. Although she's got to be getting old now. W.A. Swanberg, The Rector and the Rogue. This is one of the last books I found at the book sale. And I had already filled my bag, and I probably could have rearranged them. But I was just like, how many more books do you need, dude? As I said, I still haven't processed most of those. The Rector and the Rogue. This astonishing and true tale is at once a comedy, a period piece, and a detective story. In 1880, the Reverend Dr. Morgan Dix was rector of wealthy Trinity Parish in New York City, a high churchman. Dix was an able and admirable man without humor. His troubles began on the morning of why do I have such troubles with February 18, when a representative of the Acme Safe Company arrived. Summoned, he said, by Dr. Dix, he was quickly followed by a teacher in a girls' school and a man leading 2 horses for sale, both with letters from Dix. The letters were forgeries. In the following weeks, wig makers came, dancing teachers, dealers in used clothing, eminent clergy, and their wives for lunch, all of them fraudulently invited. The hell is this? Is this really a true story? I don't care. Macbeth with the Reader's Guide. Oh shit, what happened? William Shakespeare, obviously, written in Lady Macbeth killed herself. It would have been a more, I'm guessing it's supposed to say convenient, if she had waited. Jane Schwenkter. I can already see myself as queen. I still haven't read anything by Macbeth, although I've read half of, what's it called? A Midsummer's Night Dream. This book I picked up, The Girl and the Goddess, Stories and Poems of Divine Wisdom. I believe I already have this book, but I picked it up because I think there were more books by this author, but I never found them, and then I just sort of had this at the end, and I just was too lazy to put it back. Looks like poems. Wait. If enough magazines say it, if enough girls in schools talk about it, if enough ads on TV emphasize it, if enough of my favorite actresses look it, if enough people tease me good-naturedly about it, if relatives pinch my plump cheeks hard, if other people make it my identity, tell me, how do I stop it from getting under my skin, from building a house inside my head, from making hunger my best friend, from turning food into the enemy? When it feels like the universe is telling me, the less space I take, the easier I am to love. All right. Milton, Man and Thinker by Dennis Surratt. Surratt. Madonna College. My uncle graduated from there. And there's the pocket. The Zohar and the Kabbalah. Augustine, God in Paradise. The Struggle. I don't really know much about Milton. What year was this? 46. J.M. Dent and Sons. Bust of Milton. As I said, I don't really know much about Milton. Can't pass up a 80-year-old book. 80-year-old classic book for 16 cents. What is this? Silas Mariner. And actually, picked up 2 copies. 2 copies of this book. I thought I had 2, but then I looked for the other and I couldn't find it. But then I do have it. Obviously, the book's worth nothing. Wasn't George Eliot a woman? 1889, all rights. Yeah, there she is. George Eliot. Marion Evans Cross. Houghton Mifflin. The Weaver of Raveloe by George Eliot. See what year this one is. There's the frontis. Thais. That is the frontispiece. 1927, so almost 100 years old. Oh, what's this? Dan Del Grasso. Make a companion with Silas Mariner. Or is it Mariner? Candle's almost out. Decent shape. Book I'll never read. Maybe someone will buy it off me for $2, and I've still made more than I paid by far. Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson together for the first time. Obviously, just a common mass market paperback. Though I do believe this is, no, it's a Penguin, so it's got to be American. I think Pelican is the UK edition, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the other way around. I think I am wrong. Yeah, this is England. So Pelican or Penguin, I don't know. Maybe Penguin is. Don't know. Don't care. The Light in the Forest by Conrad Richter. The unforgettable story of a white boy raised by Indians, torn between the claims of blood and loyalty. Blood! Just a quick little classic book. Probably a 2-hour read. Harbor Lights of Home by Edgar A. Guest. Mrs. John Hodgford? I don't know what the hell it says. This guy was a newspaper writer. He wrote a column and he just started publishing his poems. And before long, he became a best-selling poet with mostly just throwaway poetry about the common man, but became very popular for a while. I think in the 30s and 40s. Could be wrong. Might have been 20s and 30s. But he started writing for the Detroit Free Press. He started as just the admin, what's it called? Whatever he called, print boy or whatever. And then he grew to become one of the most famous poets in the world, even though he wasn't really a poet. King Lear. Shakespeare. Obviously just a mass market paperback. Nothing special. But worth the 15.5 cents. Early Victorian Novelists by David Cecil. Madonna College again. Madonna College got rid of a bunch of their old books and donated them, but I picked up some. 1957? Is that what that says? Looks like it. Who's in here? These essays are derived from a series of lectures on the Victorian novel delivered at Oxford 2 or 3 years ago. I cannot pretend that they treat their subject exhaustively. An exhaustive treatment of these novelists would involve a consideration not only of their literary, but also of their social, historical, and personal aspect. Charles Dickens, William Makepeace, Thackeray, Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte in Wuthering Heights, Mrs. Gaskell, Anthony Trollope, and George Eliot. Looks like it's stuck. No. Call Me Ishmael, A Study of Melville by Charles Olson. Be great if it was signed. I may read this on this channel just because it's short. 1947. Jesus, that's 80 years old almost. That's crazy. City Light Books. This one might actually be worth something. I don't know why no one picked this up before I did. Only reason why I didn't pick it up the first day is because I don't think I saw it. He first published this barnacled study of Herman Melville almost 20 years ago, and it has since become recognized as a classic of American literary criticism. Really good shape for an 80-year-old book. Give Lawrence Ferlinghetti some credit. He printed some pretty good books. The Great Fear of 1789. Rural Panic in Revolutionary France by George Lefebvre. Borders Bookshop, $3.98. History, wonderfully illuminating. This major work by one of France's great historians graphically describes the panic, paranoia, and social chaos that sparked the revolution. Using original archival sources, Lefebvre analyzes the causes of the mass hysteria that overcame rural France during the summer of 1789. He shows how and why in barely 3 weeks peasants and the urban poor rose up in arms, razed chateaux and abbeys, burned archives and municipal records, and forced the surrender of immemorial rights throughout almost the whole of France. What's this? Borders Bookshop, which makes sense because that's where it came from. Another quality paperback for 18 cents, 17.5 cents. William Shakespeare, The Ages of Man, the standard Shakespeare anthology with index and notes. Let's get it. Ex Libris by Anne Dutka. The Quality of Mercy. Know what I'm looking for when I look through theirs? It's usually just money, but I ain't found money in a book in a long frickin' time. Agnes of God by John Pielmeyer. At the opening of John Pielmeyer's powerful drama, Agnes of God, Sister Agnes is brought to court psychiatrist Dr. Martha Livingstone, who will determine whether she is sane. Startlingly naive, so innocent as to seem angelic, the 21-year-old nun stands accused of burying a child in the convent and strangling it with its umbilical cord, none of which she can now remember. Is this a drama? Obviously, I think it is a drama. What year? 1978 and 82. Lastly, The Mysteries of Winterthurn by Joyce Carol Oates. (1984) first edition. There she is, looking like what's her name from The Shining. Pretty good shape. Following the highly acclaimed Bellfleur, a Gothic family saga, and a Bloodsmore romance, here is an extraordinary novel of mystery and murder, the third in Joyce Carol Oates' ongoing sequence of novels that deals in genre form with 19th century and early 20th century America. In Mysteries of Winterthurn, the detective hero Xavier Kilgarvan is confronted with 3 baffling cases, all in Winterthurn, the place of his birth. There you go.